reaching to where the side built.
Guys, welcome to the episode of Into the West Comics. My name is Frank. Uncle Nephew Shane is here.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Good morning to you. We're going to have a rock and roll party today. I promise you that.
Oh, my word. All right. The big hog.
Yeah.
The big hog himself. Dre is here with us at the table.
Yes. And I'm a little nervous because I was prepared to be on that lounge, but now my face is. I'm happy to be
You look
here.
great. What are you talking about?
Very
The
happy to be
young
here.
bucks.
Yeah.
These young bucks coming up, they're not ready for it. We're ready. The old dogs are ready for it.
Do you want to hold hands on the table?
You know,
my word.
my hands are a little sweaty though already.
Yeah.
So.
It's going to be all right. It's
Oh,
gonna
it'll be fine.
Thank you.
What are we doing? We're talking about insanity here. That's all we're doing, right? It's going
Yes.
to be fun.
We're here for shenanigans, Nick.
I'm just going to
course.
stare at you every time you talk.
Oh,
I'm
my
gonna-
goodness.
Yeah, directly in your eyes.
That makes me more comfortable, actually.
We had so much fun last month hanging out with this guy during our Barbenheimer phase.
Yeah.
We had to bring Barney back. Barney from Shimp Sons Comics is joining us at the table.
Yeah.
One of the most genuine human beings I've ever met in my entire life.
One of them.
My LL Cool J.
Be licking your lips and everything
Big
else.
hog every time you talk.
It's already taken a weird turn.
And I'm alone in
And
my room. Sometimes I
We
feel
had to
like
get
a
this
war
guy
in it.
back. I'm a huge fan of him and his tag team partner, Theo. Please welcome the one true nerd king, Phil Taylor. Phil, how are you?
Yeah.
I am blessed, brother. I just want to know who. I just want to know how many times I'm going to have to come on the show before I get a T-shirt. I just saw
The
that.
T-shirt
It's kinda
is
like,
in the mail.
What? I'm just.
Ish.
Do you want mine? You
put
could
some
have
tape
mine if
across
you
and
want
shit.
it.
I'll send you some stickers.
It's a little worn.
I'll do it.
Shirts are back ordered.
I
We're gonna
won't.
get yeah.
I used it to wipe up a truly that he
gonna wear
spilled
it.
one night in the studio, but
They're all well used,
Oh,
well loved
yeah.
shirts.
There is-
No,
That's
I'm,
right.
They're gently.
I'm blessed, dude. I'm excited to be here. I'm happy. So, you know, it's always good to get to hang out with friends. So this
Yeah,
is great for me. Great for me.
Well, we appreciate you taking some time to hang out with us. We hope that you are totally, how do we say, Ahsoka'd. We're right in the middle of Ahsoka Mania. We just saw our third episode of Ahsoka,
Yes.
everybody.
Oh yeah.
I'm
And,
just Ahsoka.
I'm going to start with you, Phil. I want to see what your thoughts are on the third episode. Are you enjoying the show so far?
Oh yeah, I'm loving the episode. I'm a firm believer that, you know, everybody gave, you know, hella shade during the most recent sequel series about, you know, a girl Jedi and all these things. It's like, man, did anybody ever watch Ahsoka Tano in the Clone Wars, you know, and then in Rebels and stuff like that? It's just like nobody's saying her name, but she was bad as dude.
Yeah.
And I'm really enjoying the show. I really am. I think this last episode felt a little bit more fillery than the first two to me.
Sure.
But it was good. It was good. I'm enjoying each one of it, and I do really feel like they're really, everybody's got a different angle. Some want to get thrown back. Some want to get to the world between worlds. I really think that that's still our Dark Jedi's, path as far as things go. But no, I'm digging it. I'm 100% in. It's good to see Filoni in charge of something, like 100% at the helm, and that's what that to me is what gives me the faith in this one. So I'm hype. I'm hype.
You mentioned that world between worlds thing that we could be getting into when we move towards maybe probably the end of the season. We'll be seeing that. We've got the star map. People are trying to break down that stuff. We've got a lot of, Filoni loves his wolves. He's got a lot of the wolf references laid in there. We got space whales back. We got the Purrgil back on screen. That was nice. What did you guys think about this episode, Barney?
I'm really invested in the show. I really am. The beginning when she starts training Sabine, I'm like, come on, we've seen this before. Where is this going? But with the droid, the name skipped my mind. The name of the droid,
Huyang.
Huyang just starts ridiculing her and saying, "Oh, you're the worst Jedi I've ever seen." And just,
he's not a great motivational speaker.
Breaking her down. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, giving her what for? But then later on, when she explains, and it goes back to something that Lucas actually put out in the beginning, is how the Force lives and resides in all living beings. It's a matter of some of them are more talented than the others, like Huyang, proposed. Mm-hmm. But that it's a matter of actually coming out and doing the things and doing the training that it takes to obtain and show the Force, which is where the midichlorian counts come into play. But Obi-Wan was, it was noted Obi-Wan was never that strong in the Force, but he had to, through discipline, he learned, how. So once I got past that, and I was like, oh, this got a little bit more interesting. And then to see the Purrgil, I got this whole dream of an episode that I'm hoping is going to happen. So, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. Okay. Right now it's Big Hog's turn.
Big Hog
for that.
Are you relaxed?
Yeah, I feel a lot.
All right. A pound of Truly, it relaxes Shane.
Yeah, I'm relaxed. I know that.
Yeah, let's go.
We know.
Yeah.
I am thoroughly enjoying it. I'm actually catching up on Rebels. I got to season 2, so I'm just waiting for Thrawn to come in. But based off of the show, yeah, I like it. I mean, the ridicule that Huyang is doing it's like it's tough love, but it's real. He's like nah.
You're horrible.
Yeah. I do like the kind of like call signs it was to determine like which kind of slash or defense that it was that he was doing. The training, because I've never seen that. But also, what kind of threw me off a little bit in the episode was I didn't understand the, I guess, physics of Ahsoka being on the plane and just kind of chilling there, unless she has like like Rocket's gravity boots where she just but her jumping off and then floating off, it was cool. I'm enjoying it. I have a couple things about Marok that I'm
some theories.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm just glad. I thought it was super cool how the Sabine used the ship to actually rotate her to get her back, rather than her all of a sudden pulling Princess Leia then flying back to the ship.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
Floating through space.
It was weird to me though, seeing Huyang do the whole the testing the technique to see if she's using the proper technique to see where it's cutting.
Right.
I'm just like, this has the most General Grievous vibes I've ever seen. Like, why were the Jedi like so honed by General Grievous at like every single turn? When you got Huyang with 4 arms coming at him, like, and just the beginning of the day, like, what? How's your form today? You're like, oh, nope, you're definitely not.
You messed up here.
How the fuck did they not see this?
He's got like a Scantron sheet. He's like measuring it. It's like,
bad,
oh, okay. Well, we're old. Scantron sheets.
How much
Dre might not know.
I know.
He's like hundreds of years old. He's been training thousands of Jedi, and all of a sudden, I saw the 4 things, and I'm like, the fuck? I was honestly kind of like, damn it! Like, why was General Grievous like killing all of these Jedi when they had this guy in there, just basically like just for the younglings to come in and test with? And you're like, really? Anyways, and that was the one thing that just kind of bothered me about the entire episode. But everything else was great. It was.
I thought it was creepy to know that when Grievous, every time he kills a Jedi, he takes their lightsaber. So he just has a whole cabinet full of
That's gangster.
lightsabers. Just
That's
sitting
quite
there.
gangster.
Sabine collects stormtrooper helmets.
Yeah.
And Grievous is collecting lightsabers. That's kind of,
I thought it was
It was like
interesting.
the Mandalorians, like keeping parts of Wookiees. Remember?
Oh, that's
like
right.
Boba's got little,
That's right.
like everybody's got like a little souvenir, and so
I thought it was interesting that Sabine says almost the same thing that Luke said when he puts the helmet on. He can't see, and he's like, "I can't see. How am I supposed to fight?" Like she says, almost word for word, the exact same phrase
As Luke.
as Luke. And
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool. Hey, that sounds familiar to me. But I
think it's
yeah.
go ahead.
Wait, I mean, go ahead. You're making a point on that area.
No, actually, well, I kind of, but I'll bring you. I think we're getting to theories later, so I'm going to I'll just.
All right. What I dug was Genevieve O'Reilly making an appearance, the Chancellor from Andor, Mothma?
Mon Mothma, yeah.
Mon Mothma.
That's hard to say. I thought that was great seeing her and, her doing her whole deal. Like as far as General Syndulla, talking to her, trying to get them help.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that part was really interesting. Like with General Syndulla asking, like, have you ever fought in the wars? Like he's asking the senator.
Call him out.
Like,
Yeah.
She was breaking them down.
yeah, just broke him down. But she's like, okay, maybe I'm not going to get them. I'm not going to get them to help.
They
me.
kind of have that feeling though that they're going to end up just kind of going and helping Ahsoka and Sabine in the next episode, regardless.
Right.
Kind of. I mean, maybe we would have gotten to that in that episode, if it was longer. But
I'm saying that, like, as far as the action is concerned in this show,
I think they moved the pace along pretty
Yeah.
well for the length of the episode that we got, the runtime.
We got a lot.
I think we got a good amount of content for the 30 minutes we got, 30-ish minutes that we got.
Definitely.
For what they lack
Yeah, it was all
in
stuff
script, I think it's good I think it's good. The pacing of it, I think, is pretty great.
It does feel a lot like a Clone Wars episodes in different ways. It really, I mean, like the dialogue, everything. It just kind of, to me, it just really harkens back with the cut scenes, the quick pacing between, you're not just sitting there just staring off into the distance to have these long, mournful, thoughtful scenes. It's just like, why are we here? We're going to find out next, and so I do like Filoni's pacing.
Long, drawn out, staring off into space. Could you be referring to Amelia Clark in Secret Invasion? Maybe.
She did a lot of that.
Maybe.
Man, let's
staring
not
off
get
in
into
his
Secret
face.
Invasion.
It's emotional.
Okay? I mean,
isn't it?
Now, the one moment that really harkened back to Clone Wars for me was Ahsoka on the ship and then using her lightsabers. That was I think it was like second or third episode of Clone Wars, where Plo Koon was on the ship with a bunch of clone troopers, and he was on there with his lightsaber, and they were coming after him.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought that was a nice little nod in the real world.
They make a lot of references back to a lot of the original content. It's cool. I mean, the ship that they're on when Syndulla is going to get approval from Mon Mothma and the committee of politicians that don't really want to say anything. That group is Admiral Akbar's ship from Return of the Jedi. That's the same.
Yeah.
That's the same
Home
ship.
one.
Yep.
It's a trap.
It's a trap.
That's
Yeah.
a trap.
Yeah. They've done great with the Easter eggs.
I think so too. Let's get a little bit into the theories of the Marok of it all. This Inquisitor, who we heard him speak, he just sounded like he just woke up in the morning. He sounded like he was on a 4-day sail with you and Theo. And he woke up in the morning and his voice was just thrashed, right? He was
smoking all day.
He was chomping down Camel Reds and whiskey, and there's asking. He was like, "I'm gonna go to the," just like he's eating something. I don't know. He's eating cigarettes. I know. But who do you think that this guy could be? If he is somebody important, like from their past, or is he just the Inquisitor? That's his character. Phil.
Sam Whitmer.
Okay.
Sam Whitmer. It's 100%. I mean, that's his old Doomsday voice from Smallville, man. I mean, that's as soon as it's like Doomsday. Fuck. That was like, sorry, if you want to like deep cut. Okay, that's how
that
old
is a deep
Phil
cut.
is. I just went to Smallville. So yeah, I do Sam's a super huge Star Wars nerd, and he's been with Filoni, so long, and been one of, I do feel like one of his closest actor confidants in all this series. And he's spoken to it so many times that they wanted to get Starkiller from the Force Unleashed character-wise somehow into the Clone Wars cartoon or into Rebels and these different projects. And when we were talking about Rebels, it was like somehow could they bring him in as an Inquisitor, because the secret apprentice kind of concept that they wanted to have. And so as soon as I saw the character, I'm like, oh my God, they finally did it. A lot of people thought, like, it's Ezra. I'm like, it just doesn't track for being Ezra. Plus, they're trying to go get Thrawn. So
it doesn't make any
the hell they got
sense.
Ezra back, it wouldn't make sense.
I mean, a massive disappointment if it was Ezra.
Yeah, that wouldn't make sense.
That's what my money is on too, is Starkiller.
Yeah.
And it may not even be a Luke clone. It could be an Anakin clone. And instead, so
they did say that Hayden Christensen was supposed to make an appearance in this series. That's been out there, that you filmed scenes for this, so maybe that's what it is.
All right, then that's who I pick.
That's who you're picking?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with everybody.
I'm gonna take the easy way out.
An Anakin.
Why not?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with everybody at the table.
Well, I mean, he's got the voice credits. I mean, we all saw that he had a voice credit.
Yeah,
and
additional
so
voices
in my mind,
right
it's kind of already confirmed. And plus, Sam leaked during a live stream that he is in Ahsoka. Yeah, I'll send you the footage. He did a live stream. He leaked, and it seemed completely inadvertent. It's like, I'm not supposed to talk about things, blah, blah, blah. But when I said Ahsoka, it was just like,
oh, yeah.
I'm hyped.
Yeah.
So because he's listed in the credits as like there's an ensemble like voice cast, whatever, and he's listed in there. So I'm assuming in some capacity he's going to be making an appearance. I think that's a
huge argument with this guy at a Fantastic sale about who it was. He's like, I heard it could be Ezra, and they're like, I heard it could be who? And they're like, it's fucking Sam Witwer. I'm like, don't even at me, bro. I go, like, it's 100% Sam. And they're no. I'm just like, I'm gonna spend 5 minutes on the internet and I'll have proof. Just give me 5 minutes, and all of a sudden, like, bam, phone. And it was 100% face moment. But yeah, it was. I'm geeked seeing him in the show. I think he's probably one of the most overdue. We heard his voice, granted, in Solo, and that was super cool to have Ray Park be the body, Sam get to do the voice. That was really fun for me, as as a lot of us. But at the end of the day, seeing him get to come on in an acting role physically. I mean, I haven't seen this guy since that half human or inhuman, whatever.
Yeah, the werewolf vampire joint on a sci-fi.
Yeah, he was a vampire, and there was a werewolf. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, definitely
maybe,
on
or
sci-fi.
Sharknado.
No,
I was
I'm blinking on the
I
name
haven't
too,
seen
but
him since that on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Yes, but that show was fire.
Nice.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly. I'm gonna look at it.
So then, as far as this show goes, you're liking it overall. Do you think we need to get more Jason Syndulla, some more development with that? Know that's a callback. Filoni basically confirmed that that's a callback to Jason Solo from the old Timothy Zahn books, I think. That character. Yeah, the heir of the Empire.
Yeah, he was brother. It was twins.
That's right.
Jason and Jaina.
Yeah.
Yep. Jason, Jaina, and Anakin was the youngest, who died first in the Vong attacks, and then Jason went dark. And Jaina, who I see a lot of similarities with Sabine, because Jaina was not as talented in the Force. She was talented, don't get me wrong, but she was not as talented to face Jason, who turned into a Sith Lord, a Darth Caedus, I believe was his name. And to defeat him, she had to get trained by Boba Fett in the ways of the Mandalorian to gain their armor, so she could face Jason without his expertise with a lightsaber to be able to defeat him in battle. So I feel I see a lot of similarities between what they're doing with Sabine and Jaina. And if that's the case, shit's going to be wild when it comes to that lightsaber fight. And she's got her Mando outfit on, and it's going to be crazy, because I'm looking forward to that.
Sounds
a little
good.
bit of Force control with a Mando outfit.
Yeah,
It's gonna be crazy.
sounds dope.
Do you think that
It was
when?
fantastic in the books.
Oh yeah, all those Timothy Zahn, that whole trilogy was incredible.
Yeah.
Did you ever read Bloodline?
Yeah.
Yeah, I never read that.
I read every single Del Rey book back in the day, bro. The new ones, not as much.
Mhm.
I've gotten into some of them, but I read from the Truce of Bakura all the way through the Vong series and through Young Jedi, and back when I discovered women and boobs, I had to put the comic books down a little bit, and I regressed into going into Borders and Barnes and Noble and looking around the book section, but always gravitating to the sci-fi, and I pick up a Star Wars book because I could still look intelligent with it down. Just like
Nice move.
a boy reading a book, but I was just freaking still nerding out, and I down in my basement, dude, I've got like 3 freaking big containers of those old Del Rey books that I still have to this day. And Heir to the Empire, the Zahn series, is what got my dad into it as well. But then you just go forward and back, and there's just so much awesome stuff in that universe that I know Filoni is going to be borrowing from, because he's enjoyed it, and that's what really geeked him out to get the job that he got at working at Lucasfilm on Clone Wars. So it was those books that really got him into it.
I'm just picturing Phil. I'm picturing Phil with a Danielle Steele dust cover over the novels of actual, of reading Death Troopers. But he's got a Danielle Steele, dust cover, just reading it.
They're going, what the?
Yeah.
He's got his glasses down in his nose.
Doing? Yeah.
On the inside. Yeah.
Hey there.
Mocha Frappo.
You know me too well.
Barnes and Noble.
It was 50 Shades of Grey.
Nice.
Trying to really put their hopes up there. I was just getting that really high. I was putting the 50 Shades dust cover on things. But
It's funny.
Phil, we had mentioned earlier, we were talking a little bit about the sale that was going on this past weekend. We know that you're still in recovery, you're rehydrating, and still trying to get some rest. How did the sale go overall? Are you exhausted? Have you spoken to Theo? Is he still asleep? How did it go overall?
Not talking to Theo would probably be the hardest thing to accomplish out of all this. If we don't talk for at least an hour a day, somebody's dead, hospitalized, or be concerned. So it's I think in the last year I've gone 2 days without actually speaking to Theo.
Nice.
So no, we have definitely talked since then. He's catching up on sleep. I'm catching up on sleep. Both of us not doing it very well. He came back and he had to live stream the next day for Whatnot, and then he was working for Elite and everything else. So he's going full force still. I'm just regressing to posting the occasional viral meme and just doing that. No, the sale was great. It's always a great time when we get to go out and participate in something that brings so many totally different and unrelated books to the hands of people that do or don't have lots of money or skin in the game, and they're trying to fill in runs, or there's a book that's mattered to them. We see all the keys. Those are all the ones everybody sees. It's the new highs on eBay today for whatever it may be, and it's in the Fantast label, and I think that's super cool. But for me, what really hooked me in this entire situation was the story behind it, and that's how I got involved with them, with Darren and all the team out there, and to have the opportunity to be a part of the distribution network. It's really quite amazing. There's no really better way to put it, other than, like I said before, just blessed, man. It's been a great time making new friends with people, but really getting to get out into the community and bring a lot of these cool books that we didn't even know existed. That was the crazy part too. Theo and I'll be putting a book out, we're like, what the hell is that? I never heard of that. I've never seen this before. And people would be like, I never either. Give it to me. It was, and some of those things too were just like, we hope this gets iced because afterwards we're buying it. If it's not, you know, if nobody does, dibs. But I mean, there were so many different horror magazines. I didn't realize the depth and breadth of all the different horror magazines. I didn't realize that Leonard Nimoy was like on every single sci-fi freaking publication known to man. Like we whipped out like 15 different totally unrelated horror sci-fi mags, and somewhere on it is a face shot of Leonard Nimoy. It's him in a Star Trek uniform, like shooting at giant centipedes or some, you know, it's crazy. It's amazing. I got like I think I saw like a Mr. Peanut comic. I saw a Ronald McDonald comic book from the 60s. I've seen things I just never knew were things, man. And it's been awesome. It's been very eye-opening. I've learned a lot about books, different kinds of collectors, but mostly I've just gotten to meet so many more new people in the community because I get to help bring them these books, and I get to hear their stories as to why they're really interested in it. So it's been amazing.
It's one of the cool connection points, I think, of like us as collectors, is that you bond over the most like random thing, the book, whether it be soups or capes or sci-fi or horror. You have that bonding moment, and it's like you have like instead of you're being on this beginner level of like bonding, like friendship level, it's something that's been in you or in your DNA since you've been like a kid. You first read a comic book, and then you grow up, and it's like it's still there. And you have that bond thing with the other collectors, or that other community of collectors. I say that it creates that universal type of connection with them, and it's a really cool thing. And I think that's one of the fun things. I'd love to be a fly on the wall. I'd love to watch you guys do a live sale. I won't make much noise. I promise I won't talk to Theo.
That's not true. You're going to talk to Theo.
I'll talk to Theo a little bit. Look,
Truth is, man, we're so damn busy in that room. If you were in there, we'd have you pricing and grading.
That's true. No, you probably
put Frank to work.
No, Theo would put me to work. You're absolutely right, Phil. Theo would say, "Get over here."
Everybody says, like, man, we want to come out and join you. We're just like, look, you anybody who wants to be there is fine, but unless your name's Darren, you're working. Okay?
That's right.
So, like, you're digging through boxes, you're finding books, you're pricing, you're grading, you're getting them into some kind of logical order that we know where to pull them from, and that's just it, right? I mean, we would get there, and sure, there's 18 short boxes graded, and that's wonderful. But Theo and I will do that in the night, you know, in the first 4 hours. We'll show everybody those 18 short boxes. And the main thing is that, you know, every audience is limited. You know, there's only, it's not like, you know, somebody's just randomly finding us. You follow us and you find us. Maybe somebody shares us and you find us. But that audience is usually fairly limited as far as the pool goes. So, you know, we can't keep recycling the exact same books over and over and over again, because if they wanted them, they would have gotten them earlier. So we have to, between every show and between every break, find more books from the other 50 short boxes in the room. And that's just in the room. I'm not talking about like in the trailers. The trailers are closed. The trailers are sealed. The trailers are locked because they don't want us in there. Because they're just like, no, these guys are going to find all kinds of we can't, you know, like, these aren't ready yet. So these are the ones we're willing to get rid of right now and move around and kind of get some movement on. And so you go through those boxes, and there are, like I said, 50 different short boxes. And you're just trying to, oh, that looks, I think so-and-so would like this. I think so-and-so would like that. And then we hand things off to Adam, who's like, Adam is like freaking amazing. He's always in there, always working. He's really the guy. He's really Darren's right-hand man when it comes to the collection and the curation in thereof. And he's working on those things. And, you know, Theo and I, and of course, Theo's pricing and grading too. He's much better at it. And I'm tracking the books. I'm trying to make sure everything's in the right piles, that I'm keeping, that I'm keeping totals for these people too. Because a lot of times, you know, you're in a live sale with Whatnot. It can be easy because as soon as you win something, it sends you the bill automatically.
Right.
On these Instagram ones, not everybody's great about writing it down, right? Because you're just like, I claim. And you don't know if you got it until like 30 seconds later, a lag, right? So I'm tracking those bills, sending people updates throughout each different day. And, you know, we had, we sold on the conservative side of things, we sold at least a dozen short boxes of books over those few days of, you know, confirmed sales. And it was longer than it needed to be. Honestly, we probably could have, we probably could have, if we had the things that we had graded on for the Monday shows, been able to kind of combine those for the Sunday one. I do feel like we, I don't want to say wore out our welcome, but like,
how long was it? How many days was it? Just 4 days?
So it was 4 days, but we would go at like 12-hour pushes at a time, right? So we would start at, you know, 5 or 6, and we would go for the max until either the phone died or the time ran out, which is 3 hours. Then you had to start a new one. And usually as we would start a new one, we would go quickly, you know, eat some day-old cold pizza out of the refrigerator, you know, slam a espresso double shot or a frickin', you know, Mountain Dew. And then we would hop back in there, and somebody had been, while you were hitting that piece of pizza, somebody was pulling books, and then we're sitting down, we're grading, and then an hour goes by and we're like, crap, time to go live again. And then we're live again for another 3 or 4 hours. And it's just rinse and repeat until people stop buying books. If somebody is buying a book, we will be selling a book. That was the mantra, right? If there's somebody in the room that wants to buy something, we're going to find something for them to get. And so to do that, we were doing lots of box dives too. So we would just, you know, I'm a nerd in the tech and the AV field. So I've got all my little parts and pieces and clips and, you know, my little small rigs, you know, putting phones into position so you could just park it on top of a short box and, you know, through with people. And they're like, oh, I want the jungle action run, or hey, those S, I want those, or the what does, or the, you know, all the other obscure, well, not the jungle actions that would obscure, but all the other obscure lines too, right? So people could just call them out and say, okay, well, we've got a Daredevil run here of about, you know, 80 different issues. They're random, but who wants them? And, you know, people can make an offer. And, you know, we had floors because, I mean, these aren't our books. It'd be different if it were me and Theo and we were just like, this is our sunk cost and whatever we can get for it, we're happy to get rid of it kind of thing. But Darren and the company and the team, they do have floors because each of those books are generally higher grade than you can just find out in the wild naturally, right? Because they get put away when they were purchased and they were kept there forever. So usually the colors are popping. They're very good. They're very good issues. But also too, Darren's not trying to sell the collection. He's trying to make it leaner and meaner. So he's trying to take the extra that other people can use for their run fillers and things of that nature, and just like interesting pieces to have in their collection, to then be able to turn that money into something else to get a new book to add to the collection. So that way, as it goes on into the future, it is still existing. It is still robust. It is still deep as far as bench strength goes of books, but it's not just all the extra excess that his father liked to accumulate. And we're just talking about comics right now. We're not talking about the baseball cards yet. The strange, well, not the strange, but the stamps, the movie posters, the books of the occult and UFOs. And
I mean, that's the thing about Leonard Nimoy. When you said Leonard Nimoy, you're just like, Leonard Nimoy used to be the host of In Search of as well. So of course he was like a big fan.
You know.
Like everybody's like, ooh,
yeah.
So
his father was very deeply into a lot of those things.
Absolutely.
The Star Wars toys still in their boxes from, you know, the original runs in the 70s, and there's so many different things there that, I mean, it's great if you have ADHD like me, because like, you know, oh, that's cool, oh, that's cool, oh, that's cool, you know, you're great for
everything's
days.
kind of cool, on some level,
constantly engaged, right? I can't imagine sometimes what it is for Darren and the team to just try and think about tackling one thing at a time, because I know there are things that they have not even gotten to look at yet. There are boxes they've not even opened, places they haven't even gone in this large amount of things that was inherited by Darren from his father. And that's for a myriad of different reasons. Obviously, Darren has his reasons, this being his father, his past, the things that emotionally impact him. But more so, it's too much to pay attention to. I mean, if you want to, all right, now let's employ a comic book team. Then you got to employ a baseball card team. Then you got a specific toy team, and then you got to get.
How many people are involved in that? Like, how many people you got running around like maniacs? Like, there are a lot of people doing it.
Darren's got a pretty lean, mean team right now. Some very close friends that he relies on a lot for these things. But right now, the focus is just comics. So they are sticking to just that right now.
Right.
I don't know, as far as I know, he's leaned on expertise from other high-end graders as far as things go. But I do know too, there were, when Darren first got this years ago, I mean, we're finding out about it in the last year, but there was some pretty unscrupulous people out there too that
can only
found out about this collection early.
Sure.
Yeah, in this game,
Darren didn't know what he knew now, right? And they would walk out with runs of ASM and runs of Batman and runs of things, and Darren didn't think anything of it because he didn't know that at the time. And he blames himself in a myriad of ways, but that's why he's also very particular and very protective now of what goes up and what does not, because he's seen so many things kind of come in and out, and he knows that those would have been very special if they were still there. But luckily those people aren't involved anymore. And, Darren learned a lot of lessons from that. So that's the good news.
Barney, is this nuts or what? Like, how much?
Bonkers.
It's bonkers.
What's crazy is for people out there that are watching that don't know what the Fantastic Collection is, what Philip's talking about. Philip, take a moment just to the Fantastic Collection to update everybody what that is and what we're talking about here, because a lot of us, we know in the room, but there's people that are watching right now, they don't know what this collection is. And soon they're going to find out a lot. But
that's me.
Oh, you're not.
There's a documentary coming where a lot of people can find a lot of great information, and you can go right now to www.sellingsuperman.themovie.com, or it's just sellingsuperman.com. I apologize, I don't remember offhand. I know Adam, who's in charge of the movie, is probably going to chuck something at me and be like, it's this. Sorry, Phil was live and he stopped. But at any rate, I would say Darren's father had autism. I believe he was Asperger's on the spectrum, and Darren's father had a need to collect many different things. And this collection became so big and so huge that it quickly began to tear his family apart. I mean, not just from the bursting at the seams of home of all these things and the storage in thereof.
Oh my gosh.
But the trauma and the drama that it caused.
How many books are we talking?
And father.
Oh, bro.
How many books did he have?
Millions. Millions of books.
Imagine that there's
millions.
Actually a YouTube that you can watch on it, but there's Connex boxes. You know what Connexes are? Giant, basically like storage and metal storage.
Shipping, like metal shipping container size.
He actually had these Connexes pulled to his house and butt up against his house, and then cut out doors going into the Connexes. And one Connex would be, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Philip, but one Connex would be comics, another Connex would be sports cards, another one would be toys, and just shelves to the wall, just everything possible, just packed from floor to ceiling around this entire place.
And this collection was so important to him that the family always took second, third, fourth place.
Yeah, they'd have to. Yeah.
You'd be too scared to take a family vacation. Oh, you can't have friends over. They might try and take something. Oh, there was so much paranoia that came along with it too. and it totally destroyed it totally destroyed a marriage and a father-son relationship, not just for Darren but also for his brother too. And that toll caused, a lot of enmity between the collection and him. But just for as many comics as there are, there's baseball cards, there's books, there's toys, there's the only thing that is missing, that's weird because it was going on at the time while his father was still collecting, that everybody's kind of perplexed by, is there's no Pokemon. That is the only thing that is honestly missing from the time that this man was collecting. There's nothing of in any of these collections is Pokemon cards. He had everything else, bro. It's ridiculous.
What's the timeline as far as years? As far as years, how long? Like from when to when?
He was collecting since the 40s all the way up until 2003.
What that boggles the mind.
That's wild.
And how much he had then. That's crazy.
And it wouldn't be one book. It would be 50 of them. It wouldn't be a short box. It would be a store going out of business. It would be, he would buy, but it was on a hoarding and collecting level, not necessarily as like a business or a flipping, or even, yes, he had an investor's eye. He would look at things and he would say, this is a popular character, I should buy their books, their number ones, things of that nature. Right. Yes, he was very smart, very shrewd in that manner. But even back then, not all speculation pans out, right? But at the same time, too, he also knows random characters show up in random issues. So he would just collect them all. And so you're talking about, super obscure books to very popular and well-known ones with lots of copies. I can't imagine. I think two of the books that he put in most heavily on, if I remember correctly, was Ghost Rider. Was one of them for sure. He's got slews of those. There was something else. I can't remember what. But at any rate, I mean, you're talking hundreds of copies, let alone the ones that walked out.
What was his
realized?
Well, what was his condition? He had a condition, I'm sure, to collect this many. He had Asperger's. It's hard to
it is, but it wasn't so much that he had it, and that's what upset Darren. And Darren does talk about that in an interview we got to have with him on our channel when we first met. What hurt Darren was that his father would never admit it. He would never recognize it. He always denied it. Wow. He did not have that. He did not have that problem. And it was that stubbornness. And I think that's what haunted Darren in a lot of ways.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And this is all in the documentary.
It is. But he's doing a lot of great things with it. Now.
Wow. That's wild.
Including a custom CGC label. The first of its kind ever CGC Providence label. I mean, as we were talking about earlier, Rob's got a ton of Red Hood has you see them all over, and those are the ones that are now, yes, the market's all over the place, but the Fantastic label books are selling more than most other,
because people want this as a piece of history.
Ain't doing it.
Yeah.
So they're the ones that are breaking those records.
Yeah. People want to own a piece of the Fantastic collection. So if they're paying 25% more for a book that, normally, sells at whatever number it is, just to say that I have a book from the Fantastic, collection. So
it's like that.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. And that's kind of where like the sales with Theo and I kind of come in, because like a lot of people can't necessarily afford those books either, because they are going so much and they are so much more expensive. So, Darren has COAs that can go out and do things with it. But and we even saw this weekend that CBCS is taking those and putting from Fantastic collection on some of their slabs. interesting.
Yeah.
Doesn't look the same. I always chalk it up as to knowledge is knowing. CBCS will put Fantast on the label, but wisdom is knowing it looks hella better in a CGC because that custom label is gorgeous. So the difference between knowledge and wisdom, yeah, sure, you can let CBCS do it, but it looks like, I printed it out on my desktop printer real quick here and threw it in a couple pieces of plastic, while the CGC one's beautiful.
You guys could break
And
ground and do
like
a PGX. You could do a PGX one. You could break ground. You could be the pioneers for that one.
Oh, God.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, it would be the pioneers for that one. It would be. But no, it's been great, and our involvement in the film and the entire project has been nothing short of just a wonderful opportunity. So, like I said before, blessed. 100%.
That's awesome. We were going to mention real quick. We made our weekly trip to the store. To the LCS. I don't know if you made it to your LCS this week, Phil, or not. But Marcus is joining us over here in the lounge, and we're gonna go over some of the new stuff that you picked up this week. Marcus, some of your pickups, and I'll go over some of mine.
There he is.
If we pick the same stuff, then I just won't talk about mine.
So
go ahead.
handsome.
Yeah. All right.
What's that chip?
Look like
There's a
Pocky next to
that's Donovan. He's joining us in spirit.
Anyway.
Hey, Donovan.
Oh boy.
So honestly, the past couple of weeks have been phenomenal for book readers out there. You mentioned this one already last week, but I had to mention it again. It was worth repeating. Immortal Thor. Immortal Thor. Sorry. Mortal Thor. Yeah. Immortal Thor. Horkathor. Yeah. This was phenomenal. This is just the variant cover that I have, but the A cover is at home, cased in glass and dipped in bronze and all that good stuff. But it's great because you're now gonna see more fantasy. You're gonna see there's new gods that are actually that are being set up to predate even Odin that are going to be challenging Thor, and so we're going to see a whole new slew of adversaries challenging Thor as the All-Father now, and now that Odin's gone, it is the stakes. I mean, right from issue 1, you're already starting to see some stakes being built, and it's going to be a good one. And it looks like it's going to be a lot more introspective on Thor himself as well, as he assumes basically his father's place. And that I've been waiting for that for a while. So that's a good one. And then, oh my goodness, this one even surprised the writer, Tom King's Penguin #1. I think this one was also maybe mentioned. I finally got a chance to read it, and it is amazing. It basically feels like kind of what the John Ridley One Bad Day Penguin one-off was setting up. Very, very Sopranos-ish sort of vibe to it. Basically little by little Penguin, trying to get his status back, but he's also being kind of manipulated at the same time. So it's going to be a good one. It's Tom King. You can't go wrong with Tom King, honestly. And then, of course, my favorite indie book probably is going to be my favorite book of all time, at least until something, comes
time,
better.
Bruh.
Yeah, unless something comes out better. Right now, this one is stomping now.
All right.
New Burn by Chip Zdarsky, issue 10. The stakes are just gradually building and building and building, and it's starting to get really, really heavy on New Burn, especially now that he's it's sort of like he's covering for his partner, who actually has a shady past too. Emily, who was initially the reluctant partner who kind of had to tag along. But yeah, for those who don't know, New Burn, he's basically like a central figure amongst all the crime families, and he's a former cop who's kind of acting as a liaison, and he's trying to he through his unique position, he tries to make sure that the families don't all go out and start killing each other, and there's no interfamily or intra-family war going on. So he's like a peacemaker in a sense, and it's starting to kind of eat him up a little bit as well. So that's definitely one. And of course, finally, Captain America, the finale of the latest run that we've been doing with Kelly and Lansing and all those guys. man, just it's been amazing. This one kind of pretty much finishes up the plot points and stuff that was established during the Sentinel of Liberty side of things. Sam Wilson's side, Symbol of Truth, is kind of finished up, but this kind of reconciles everything and clears the air with him and Bucky. Very good. I mean, probably one of the best runs we've had in a while. I definitely suggest you guys pick this up. I know it's available in trade already. Check it out, especially if you like Cap. And
like Sonny, like what Sonny introduced last week, we copping or dropping any of these titles that Marcus just.
I've copped all of those except for New Burn.
Just gonna say, last week you mentioned the Penguin joint, and I was like, cop for sure.
Cop for show. For show.
Any of that stuff stick out to you there, Phil, that you're interested in? You pick your interest?
So I've been reading New Burn since the beginning.
Yeah.
So I'm very high on that.
Yeah.
I'm an indie guy. It's not that I don't like Marvel or DC, but I just kind of I have to know something was really good, and then I'll go get the trade paperback afterwards.
Yeah.
So
Playing it safe.
Disney, DC, and Marvel are regulated to apps or trade paperbacks for me because every time I get one, I got to get like 50 tie-ins.
Yeah.
And then I got to find like the artist variant that I like. And then so I stick to my indies. So I got like World Tree, and I got, obviously I've got New Burn. I do love my authors. So for me, it's obviously Chip Zdarsky. I love Cullen Bunn. I love, obviously, Tunyon. There's just so many great writers out there that are just doing the most amazing on their indie publishing right now. So that's usually where I hang my hat, is usually in the indie side of things.
And it's tough. It's overwhelming at times, I'm sure, because I mean, for me, that was like a majority of my pool for the longest time was like indie stuff, because Marvel, there are a few characters that I must have. I gotta have my Punisher, gotta have my Thor, Wolverine, X-Men, when it's not falling like it is now. But it's, you have to, Image. They've been, over the past, I would say 2-3 years, Image has been really killing it with getting all these indie titles out, whether it's from Chip Zdarsky, Ed Brubaker, James Tynan. You've already mentioned Tynan. Nice House on the Lake, DC Black Label, but it honestly feels like it could be an Image title or a Boom title or something, especially with that horror element.
100%.
Yeah, so
100%.
Well,
go ahead.
No, go ahead, sir.
So I was just going to agree. I mean, I've really also been hitting a lot of the Kickstarters.
Yes.
I have, something too with this is I've spent so much at the LCS since COVID started, right? Where my pull list was getting so ridiculous, and I would like leave, and it's like $200 a week, and I'm like, I've got to cut back. So I've made the conclusion that I am five, and I'm out. Cover A and I'm out, right? So that's my rule, right? I can't get more than 5 books a week, and it's cover A. Because once I get out of that, the wheels are off. But
you can never do that, Frank. Is that what you muttered?
No, I don't want to say it in front of Phil. I don't want to look at me. I could never do that. I'm a hoe, man.
Disgraceful.
I had to learn it from John's Comics with Kids. He was the one that introduced me to that concept, because he just looked at me one day, because we were doing a new comic book show on Wednesdays when the What Not Wednesday team was going out there, and we would talk about new comics, because we just wanted to be something else. We were the only people on the internet that weren't selling comics at that point in time of the day, and he would just look at like, so what are we going to talk about, Phil? And it was like, well, I got this one. We're like, well, I got these 3. like, how do you do it? And he goes, I just have a rule, man. He goes, and if I know I can't stick with the series, I wait for the trade,
trade waiting.
And that saved my butt, is getting into the trade paperbacks.
So when it comes to indie, I would say that's probably a very good way to do it anyway, because depending on the art, the author's style, a lot of times waiting for the trade, I think, is a better read. Just to read it at your own pace all at once, what have you. Like Tom King, I mean, Strange Adventures for DC Black. I think it was DC Black Label. That would have been way better and had more impact if it was just released as its own original graphic novel, you know, either under DC or indie title or indie label. Then the whole like one issue every 2 months, so you're like forgetting what you read and you have to go back and reread it. And then COVID happens and then it interrupts the series.
Sure.
Yeah, and all that kind of stuff.
The coolest thing I've had the chance to do lately with indie books is there's a creator, and you guys may have spoken to him. I know he's been making the rounds right now. His name's Corey Crater, and he made the Codex. And this is a graphic novel that he's making, and he put 6 books into one. So instead of debuting with one comic on Kickstarter, which a lot of people do, he put 6 of them in here. And this is volume 1. He decided to make his own first volume with it. And so he put that out on Kickstarter. And I have to say, it was the coolest thing because I'm so used to having to lead issue by issue. And when it's Kickstarter, man, the only thing worse than the release schedule of 90s Image is a Kickstarter getting funded and getting the next issue out, right? That's the only thing worse. And so getting this, all of a sudden, I was able to read about characters getting fully developed in front of me and going on this crazy high-stakes adventure, and then all of a sudden I'm ready for phase 2. And it's cheaper than a comic to make, to pump out these graphic novels. So all of a sudden, I'm just like, man, Corey's got a damn good idea. I think some other people might want to take notice. Like, you know, if you're creating something and you've got a big idea, get it out there. But the Codex actually is probably the coolest thing I've read lately. It's very Guardians of the Galaxy meets Lord of the Rings in a steampunk future where like demons have taken over the earth. It's freaking dope. So I mean, anybody wants a recommendation? I say check it out. It's the Codex, CODEX on Kickstarter. Heinously recommend it. And I'm not being paid for that. That's the biggest bitch of all.
Not yet.
100%. 100%. Because like guys like that will come out and they'll be like, I want you to look at my book and here's, you know, X, Y, and Z. Just can you talk about it? I'm like, I will happily read your book. But the second anybody pays me, like nobody's ever going to believe a damn word I say again when I like an indie. And Corey's absolutely no different. You know, he respected that at least, and he got with me early and sent me the PDF, and I just loved it, dude. There's like this robotic dog with a British accent that's a total asshole. It's a cyborg dog. It's freaking great.
Ooh,
nice.
That sounds dope.
If you like an indie book to read, check it out.
I'm in.
Right, very cool.
I was gonna go Fast and Furious, rapid fire for my picks real quick. Phil mentioned he loves those tie-ins of those 47 different tie-ins for this.
Big fan.
We're wrapping up Night Terrors, Night's End. It's going to be going into some stuff involving Amanda Waller. Maybe the Justice League is coming back. I don't know. We'll see what's happening with that. Some of these titles are going to have repercussions, unfolding. I think from a lot of these storylines. I've enjoyed most of the Night Terrors. It's all been pretty solid. Nice. The Incredible Hulk, our friend Philip Kennedy Johnson, it's great. It's monsters. I think that when it's all said and done, this Incredible Hulk run that Philip Kennedy Johnson's doing is going to be a great pairing with Immortal Hulk. I think when we've got a good sample size of this run for Incredible Hulk. Look at that guy. What a spokesman. Next to Steve over there.
You like this,
we're setting this
loose. Read it right now.
That's right. He's going to break into it. We're talking about setting up we're drawing our battle lines for the Gotham War, Batman and Catwoman. Lots of good stuff to come from this. You're talking about the Tom King Penguin. Long term, I think he's going to be involved in this universe that Batman and Catwoman are in the middle of. The whole crime underworld is being shaken up in Gotham, and this is kind of setting it up. It's going to be crossing over into both Teenie Howard's Catwoman as well as Zdarsky's Batman and a few other of the Bat titles. Is going on for like another couple months. But so far, that was pretty entertaining. And you mentioned Kickstarter. our buddy Sean Murphy, Plot Holes came out this past week. I may or may have not picked up 6 of these different covers for Plot Holes. It is about a comic creator. Thank you.
It's bro. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I got to support the indie. I gotta tell you my
6
pre-order for
different
Tom and Ryan, bro. For Crashdown. I'll tell you about my pre-order for them in a minute. I'll tell you off air. The Sean Murphy's Plot Holes. This is about a comic book creator. His name is Cliff. He gets absorbed into a comic book world where characters are being written off, and he goes on a quest with a bunch of different characters from a bunch of different art styles to save comic book titles.
That's great.
Yeah. It was really fun.
Greatest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect, but I really enjoyed it.
That's amazing.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, that's what I got.
It sounds fun.
Check it out.
I go fast.
That's
at least what they say.
That plot sounds like something that you would actually come up with as a human being, Frank.
Sean Murphy and I did not consult. He did not consult me at all on this.
This is something I could hear you saying that you would want to do.
This is what I'm thinking. Wow. I know that you've been hearing about all the stuff with Hollywood and Writer's Strike and the Screen Actors Guild, and we've got delays on top of delays. Now we're hearing that Dune 2 Cowabunga has been delayed until next March. I think it's been pushed back. Yeah. The Marvels is staying pat. They're not going to move up now. Marvels is going to stay where they are at. I think November 10th.
Yep.
How interested are you in seeing the Marvels, Phil?
I'm a huge Kamala Khan. I'm a huge Kamala Khan fan. I don't know what happened.
God. Cue politically correct answer. Yeah, right now.
No,
Kamala Khan.
I am. That was the first comic I ever bought for my daughter independently.
Right? There you go.
The first comic she ever got.
All right, so you're at a 10.
She was very young. I wanted to buy her a comic. I wanted to get it about a young girl. And at the time, the only one that had just come out, was this Ms. Marvel character about this young girl named Kamala Khan. And so that was the first comic I ever got for Gwen. And so, she had always had a thing for Ms. Marvel, and that had always kind of carried through for myself. As far as the movie goes, I'm not sure. The actress who plays her is probably one of the coolest. Aman is probably one of the coolest nerds to ever get a job in comics in acting. 100%. She knows more. She knows more than I do about comics, and a lot of us. She's a super smart young woman. But I just don't know how excited I am for the movie. I hear it's super short. People are saying
it's
I
under
remember
90 minutes.
One of the press releases,
it was 7.
I don't know if it's 90 minutes. It is short though.
Yeah.
It is short.
It is the shortest.
It's the shortest Marvel movie ever, and it's supposed to be the wackiest Marvel movie ever. Which
I'd love to hear
wacky
wacky
after seeing Thor: Love and Thunder. So
wackier than that.
But I'm hopeful.
Oh boy.
Oh my goodness. They went to go to.
So
yeah.
Brie Larson, does she have a sense of humor?
Yeah,
she's been in comedies though, hasn't she?
In Scott Pilgrim. she was more serious than Scott
Pilgrim.
Yeah, she's always
kind of the straight woman, just kind of like the stilty character.
Yeah, very, very stoic, very, lifeless face.
That's what the
personality.
That's what
staring into space.
Ms. Marvel is supposed to be. Like the
Carol Danvers is supposed to have some personality, and Brie Larson doesn't.
Well, he really hate Brie Larson.
Yeah, she's terrible. So she should get another job.
She should get another job.
Yeah,
but she looks okay, and
she looks great.
Yeah, she looks good. Hey,
yeah,
it's easy on the eyes.
That's all it takes.
I have concerns, but I'm not. I don't know. I've had concerns about Marvel a lot lately, so the truth is, I know I'm going to see it.
Yeah, we all have.
We're all kind of in that area.
Yes.
Everybody's just like, it's going to suck. We're like, we're going to go and see it.
We have no choice.
Well,
just lick her up and grit and bear it.
I mean, if this is any indication, for the last 4 Marvel films, we've bought out a theater to watch the movies, and it was a struggle to convince Sonny to do a buyout for the Marvels.
Yeah.
he doesn't want to do it, and I really don't. I'm not fighting him on it, so we'll probably just get a group of people together and see it. We're not buying out a theater to watch it.
Yeah.
We'll go with about 12, 15 people. We'll go watch it.
If it's if it's 90 minutes, like I don't know if that's good or bad in this case. What does this mean that it's the shortest?
It sounds like it's going back to the old school formula of just it being a standalone, quick, fun movie that you enjoy on its own, and then you leave. Yeah. Nothing with any like sort of farther reaching, no farther reaching consequences down the line.
I want a blooper reel.
At the end.
I won't lie though, that sounds
they should bring that back
with the movies we've had lately.
Yes,
true.
Yes.
Quantumania was too heavy. I think we need to go back a little bit too.
Yeah, it sounds like I'll be sitting
Quantumania
Frank
tried
and
to do
Shane.
too much.
It was trash. That movie was trash. But I mean, like, I actually that's what I appreciated. Like what you were saying, that was what I appreciated about Blue Beetle the most. Was like it was a great standalone kind of like its own movie. You weren't distracted by a bunch of cameos, and you could just enjoy it for what it was. You knew it was going to have kind of like TV sitcom-ish sort of humor because you got George Lopez in it. Yeah. But outside of that, it was great, and the CG was better than Flash.
I know we didn't really talk about Blue Beetle, did we?
No, we didn't. But that's
Barney, you
good.
see it?
I have not seen it yet. No.
It's good.
It's good.
Did you see Blue Beetle, Phil?
I think the first Fantastic Four film had better CG than freaking Flash. No, I have. Sorry. Well, where they keep on changing the scene with just the arms, keep on reaching. Just have the camera move while the arms there, just like slowly,
I got a bootleg copy of that on VHS.
Oh my god!
But, no, I have not seen Blue Beetle yet. I have not had the chance, but I've heard good things about it. So I do
see it,
actually want to see it. But I've heard it's coming out on digital so soon. Yeah, I'm like, why?
Yeah.
At this point, like if I can wait 2 weeks, and I can just own it for the price of one ticket.
Right.
I think that's my biggest problem with movies right now. There's 50 blockbusters a month, right?
Yeah,
and I just can't see them all. So for me, as soon as I heard it didn't do well, which is terribly disappointing, and I want to throw in my $50 of support to just take me and my kid there to get a single popcorn at the same time too, I'm like, well, shit, in 2 weeks I can own it.
Yeah, you can.
And buy it digitally.
I don't even want to at that point.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to probably purchase it because it was fun. It was a fun movie.
There'll be another one.
I enjoyed it. Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
The question is, will there be another one? Do you think they'll actually? Or is it just
we'll have to wait
completely
and see.
off the table as far as what they're trying to do for the future? Will there be an actual sequel to?
Well, what do you guys? I would ask you guys around the table real quick. What did you guys think about James Gunn making the announcement that he did at the beginning of the year? Would it have changed anything for how all this stuff rolled out with how people's reception has been for these movies post James Gunn announcement? Should he have waited, or should he just said, "I've got a plan, stand by. I'm not resetting anything. Just maybe some of this stuff is part of it," and blah blah blah.
I think he had to make an announcement that he is.
But did he have to announce 12 projects?
I think. I mean, if he's going to roll it out, he's going to roll it out.
Okay.
He's under so much fire when that whole thing came out that he had to put something out just to try to do some kind of appeasing to the fans. So, and there was some exciting ones that he did announce. I mean, saying that Blue Beetle is actually the first one that leads into what it is. Whether he meant it or intended it in the beginning or not, maybe he watched it himself and saw his cut or a cut that he thought, it kind of ties into what I want to do. So that's why he kind of adopted it into it. So, but he had to do something.
What do you think?
I think he was corporately pressured to do that. Because they it's like a little a pissing contest basically between DC and Marvel, and I think he was kind of I think he was kind of pressured to kind of have some sort of outline roughly,
this is what I'm going to do for you, for you folks.
I do think it was preemptively dropped, though. I think that was a poor choice on their part, because unfortunately we have seen it that most of these movies had to go into reshoots because of that announcement. Which changes the plot line, which changes the direction the directors planned on taking the movies in. And I do think that not only did it, ruin people's desire to want to go see this movie because they know these characters aren't going to be there going forward, most of them anyways, besides maybe, so So maybe we're going to get Blue Beetle, but who had known about Blue Beetle before that?
Right.
You know,
Right.
It really
I
killed
think Blue Beetle's a
Shazam,
victim
man.
of James Gunn's strike and
Shazam got killed.
bad movies.
Yeah. Yeah. It just, I don't know. It just, yeah. For me, there's still some, you know, even though it had its issues, I still think that some more of the elements from Zack Snyder's, you know, legacy should have carried forward. Whether it be casting decisions, whether it be some of the some of the ambition, because now it just feels like, yeah, we're trying to do away with that legacy, you know, in a way, without, you know, I don't know. It just feels like there's a lot that was lost in that whole transition that could have worked, you know, like, okay. You know, because I mean, like, we got, okay, so we have Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman still. Okay, great. But there's other people who should have, maybe. But there's other people who also should have been, you know, carried over that, you know, I don't think should have been a casualty in this whole transition.
Such as?
You know, hey, Cav, baby.
Henry Cavill.
Yeah. I mean, he was a great Superman. He was great. And now you're going to replace him with a skinnier version that looks like him? Like, why?
Yeah, if you're gonna do that, like,
I think Henry Cavill was cool, but I mean, let's not lie to ourselves. He had 1.5 movies as Superman.
I mean,
right.
Total,
right.
Yeah.
He had one movie. He was half of a versus, and the rest of it he just had fucking cameos in. I mean, Justice League, he didn't show up until the last third.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, ultimately Henry Cavill got to officially wear it for the run length of 2 films.
Right.
I mean. I think he looked good in the outfit, but I mean, there should have been a clean slate. We should have said Ezra Miller's officially gone. I don't care about about their mental condition at their point in time when they were going through, like, you know what, this dude's not coming back. Whatever, you know, let's just still please try and enjoy the movie. But I don't think Gal Gadot should be coming back. I don't think any of them should. I really don't. If it's going to be a clean start, let it be a clean start.
I agree.
I agree with that. I can agree
100%. If you're gonna take away everybody, everybody got to go.
Yeah. Don't cherry pick.
I do have a lot of faith in James Gunn though, because a lot of his movies have been. I mean, Guardians.
Guardians amazing. I thought the second Suicide Squad.
Oh, the Suicide Squad was really good.
Movie-wise, like in the superhero, like this universe has been on point. So I have a lot of faith in him as far as rolling out those 12 features. It gave a lot of hype just because of how much disappointment we had in the end of the, you know, DC. I'm excited for that Green Lantern, even though, I mean, the fact that he said it's a true detective type story.
Lanterns.
I'm like, all right, I don't care how long I gotta wait. I'm hyped.
I like it.
Like that is fire. You know, Batman and was it Damian that he's gonna have?
Brave and the Bold.
I mean, all these, you know, it's just leading up, and I loved Blue Beetle. I mean, I think
Did you love Blue Beetle?
Marcus gave it an 8. I enjoyed it. As somebody that haven't read the comics, it was a really cool introduction to the character. I love Hispanic culture in general, and slight little kind of nods, like a little waking him up with Vicks. You know, it's like it was just funny. You know, it was fun. Like I enjoyed it 100%.
That Brazilian actress that played Jenny Cord.
Like everything, like it was. And then
how you doing?
The callbacks with the little video. It was a video game. You know, like, it was just, it was fun. Like it was sick.
The suit was sick. The actual suit.
The suit up was literally the most horrifying. Like it was horrifying because it's like I don't want to say.
Could you imagine?
Yes.
But it was the sickest suit up I've seen. But yeah, I have a lot of faith in James Gunn and what he's going to be doing for this.
Yeah, we just got to wait for it.
Yeah,
just got to wait for it. I think part of
good.
Go, Phil.
I think it's going to be good because it's just going to be a new universe from scratch that we can just participate in. I think the biggest problem with Marvel is that they decided to keep going after Endgame.
Yeah.
I'm one of the few people that thinks it should have just ended there and just been some kind of reboot. They had acquired the Fox universe by that time. Even if they had to wait, doing some kind of different, whole new story, different characters, letting things evolve.
Phil, now that we see what they put out, like I agree with you 100%.
Well, yeah.
Just stop that Endgame.
So many stories eventually you just start to build these superstructures that get so top heavy that it have nothing but collapse written all over it. It was like Batman 3, right? And all the other Batman where you get too many villains and all of a sudden the plot starts to get a little too heavy and it starts to collapse on itself. That's where Marvel is as an entire structure right now. And it's been that way since Endgame. And I said it then and I'll say it again. I think it should have ended. I think they screwed up the universe using time travel, and I think they just should have called it an Endgame and just let it go for 3 or 4 years, let people get super hungry, and then just restart with somebody,
with
different
X-Men,
people, different characters.
You go with X-Men, I think, at this point, and you kill everything after Endgame. I agree 100%, and then you focus on how great Uncanny X-Men can be.
They want to piggyback the X-Men thing onto the Eternals. I mean, they could have cleared the whole palette, waited 4 or 5 years, made your first series the Eternals, and drawn that out, and actually spent some time introducing the characters instead of making a movie where nobody knows who any of them are.
Anyone is.
Oh, by the way, there's 10 of them.
There's no
scarcity.
scarcity.
Remember is Harry Styles as
Star Fox.
Arrows.
Well, they could have even shown us the LF Snur. I can't remember his name as the original Kang of ancient Egypt, right? You know, so we could have we could have had our Kangs back then too. That could have been the overarching villain to start with the Eternals and take it in that direction. It would have been a great reboot, but I think that they've already screwed it up by bringing back Hugh Jackman, because now we've got a 60-year-old Wolverine who can't go the distance.
We do.
And nobody's ever going to let anybody else be Wolverine again. So that means if we do the X-Men, we're going to get an X-23, which I don't. Yeah. Nothing's wrong. Actually, she's one of the few that I do like as far as new characters go.
The actress named Daphne.
But it doesn't mean I don't want her more than Logan.
Right.
I want. Yeah. So at any rate, I'm afraid about that.
Yeah, there's just no scarcity, and that when there's no scarcity in the films, and you just have all this stuff, they were just too aggressive, and they did that with the comics too. They were just pushing out way too many titles, and people were getting overwhelmed, both readers and viewers of these movies alike, and it got to be too much because they were just trying to cram all this in and trying to make up for all the lost money they lost during the pandemic, and it got to be too much. And when there's no scarcity, there's no magic, and that's my number one problem I have with all the Star Wars stuff. The fact the fact that we, part of the magic was that we didn't get a Star Wars anything every month. We had it, we would get we would get like a movie if we were lucky, like. Yeah, when the prequels started, it was once every 2 years, something like that. Between
99, I think, Phantom Menace came out.
Yeah, 1, 2, and 3. That was like sprawl. That was stretched over 5 years or something like that. So that gave us enough time to kind of digest it all and enjoy it for what it is, and then we move on. Instead of like, okay, we're doing this, and then we're going to do this, and no one has the money or the time really to keep going at this pace.
Feeding the beast that is this franchise.
I heard I heard a really interesting YouTube. It took an hour and a half to get through, but it was really the culture of Hollywood after Marvel, who set it up right. Marvel was the first one to truly do it right, because it took 10 years to build to the Avengers, this huge millions upon hundreds of millions of dollars to make this movie, but they built up to it. And then everybody saw that, and then they all started pouring their own money into it. And then all of a sudden we were starting to get 3, 4, 5 different blockbusters a month. And nobody can afford to go to the movies that many times a month to see all those movies. So all of a sudden you're having to pick. And because they're pouring so much money into it, you've got to get like 2.5 times the amount of money that they spent between advertising, the way it splits between theaters and, the resource, the people that make it. All of a sudden these movies just cannot make enough money. And so they're all, now the studios are going like, we've lost billions of dollars on these movies because we put too much money into them, thinking every movie is going to be the Avengers over the last few years. And that's kind of really what's done this. It's Hollywood in general. It's
the corporate
just
machine.
Disney. Everybody's doing it. And everybody's making the Fast and the Furious 10, for sake, was like the most
Incredible
one of the most expensive movies ever made, and one of the biggest flops. Right?
Incredible film.
Seriously, sorry.
Bravo!
I'm not offended.
Fast and the Furious 10. Bravo! I say.
Frank, you want to see it again?
Would I watch it again? No.
Yeah. Come take me.
Again,
I liked it. It's on Peacock.
No, let's go to. I want to see it. In
family.
We're gonna have to do a screening for it. I don't know if it's still in theaters.
That'd be my birthday.
We'll wait for Phil to come back to town, and we'll do a private screening. We'll watch Fast 10.
I would come out for that. We can all
Could you
just
imagine?
throw at the screen.
Oh
Nice.
my gosh,
That'd be the best.
Everybody does shots when families mentioned it. So
Oh, my word.
do a marathon.
Family.
We'll be passed out.
How many of us can actually make it out of the theater by the end of the night?
We're gonna need to Uber
Zero.
home, everybody.
But but Dre brought up a good point about James Gunn though. I've noticed a pattern with James Gunn. He typically seems to pick those obscure characters that no one's touched and blows them up. So like with the Guardians, nobody cared about the Guardians until the movies, literally. Like those, they've been around since
Creature Commandos now.
Yeah, and Creature Commandos now. Yeah. And I think Guardians started in the early 80s, maybe even a little bit before that.
I think it was 75. It was
Okay.
Marvel superheroes.
Okay, yeah. So no one cared, and then all of a sudden, and then you had the good runs with DNA, but that was just specific to comics. No one in the wider universe knew about, or really cared about Guardians of the Galaxy. It had no interest until he made the movie.
And that wasn't even the Guardians that he made in the movies, weren't the original ones from the 70s either. Those are the ones we saw at the very end in a spot.
Right. And so with that, because they're so obscure, you have a great degree of freedom to
go nuts.
Go nuts, because the corporate engine, they're going to be like, okay, yeah, those characters don't mean anything. Go ahead, do whatever you want with it. It's not like Superman. Oh yeah, well, with Superman you have to do this, have to do this, have to do. You have to stay within these guidelines. But if you do, some other obscure character, they're like, okay, whatever, and then it blows up. Then all of a sudden, now they want to, pay attention. So I think that's a good strategy that has paid dividends for James Gunn.
Let's see if he does it with the Authority.
Man,
Authority could be cool.
Authority could be pretty cool if they do the same thing.
Cool.
At this point he has carte blanche, I'm sure, to do whatever he wants.
I'll be pissed if the Authority is messed up.
It won't.
I will be, because I love that group. That group is so fun.
That group, and Planetary as well.
Oh yeah.
Should be dope.
Those are two phenomenal reads. But you look what he did to Polka Dot Man.
I know, he made him cool.
Right.
He made him cool.
Arms falling off, man.
Made you feel for the dude.
Yeah, arms falling off, man.
Peacemaker is absolutely an amazing show.
Amazing.
Peacemaker
Yeah,
was.
beyond where you thought it would be.
Absolutely.
With
Way more.
John Cena being the lead.
I hated
Had
John Cena.
I didn't
And now you
care
love him.
for him, and then you see that, you're
not
like,
go
you got to be kidding me.
Yeah. Like he's,
Do you guys have to ask yourselves though too, with all the money that the studios have lost this year, when with these movies? We haven't heard of cancellations yet, but you can bet with the strike and the delays, it's cheaper to eventually cancel than it is to keep delaying. And there's also going to be some huge budget cuts in these movies as well, too. So, I mean, the kinds of things that we're used to seeing, we're not going to see again for a while as well. So, I mean, you have to kind of wonder, too, is the writing going to become the strength of these movies? Is the character development, again, going to become the strength of these movies? And if so, we're in for a treat. But if they're going to treat it just like another, Justice League, where it's just mostly, shock and awe and just kind of a little bit of meh.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We're going to have
Square
plenty
one.
of time to watch the Zack Snyder cut, is what you're saying.
Square one, here
of the
we go.
Justice League.
I saw there's a black and
like
white version of the Snyder cut.
The Justice League is gray.
Wow.
It's only streaming, because I thought it was going to come with the Steelbook, but no, it's only on streaming.
Oh,
it
man.
actually looks pretty cool tonally.
The black and white
version.
The black and
I
white.
was watching. Yeah, I
Yeah,
watched
it looks pretty cool.
like
What
a
other
couple
movie
weeks
did
ago.
that? Like a recent. It's Mad Max, Fury Road.
Fury
did
Road,
that.
yeah.
It was the Chrome
Yeah.
edition. That was good.
Yeah, it's cool.
Phil,
that's true.
an hour and a half it goes by pretty quick
Wow.
when we spend when we spend quality time together. But we wanted to say again that we really appreciate you coming on, and I love hanging out with you and talking to you anytime.
Yeah.
And,
And nice to meet you too, because I think this is
the first time you met Marcus, right?
Yeah.
Marcus.
Yeah. So hey, good talking to you.
Talking to you too, man.
Yeah.
It's
Good stuff.
it's always a pleasure, man.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure, and these things, these opportunities don't come around often enough. So
Yeah.
thankfully, I was able to make it out there to Vegas this year and get to meet a few of you guys, and Frank, and
it was a pleasure, and also Frank.
And but no, it's great, and so I'm happy to stop out anytime you guys need to really scrape the bottom of the barrel, and oh, so and so canceled. Well, yes, shit. Guess we can call Phil.
Where's Phil? Get Phil.
I had him locked in for this week.
Already, without a doubt. Yeah.
Now, has someone else maybe moved something around?
He locked me in Monday. He's like, "Hey, are you busy this Thursday? We had a cancellation."
Phil's being bumped. You bump him, and like Phil, you can't be on.
Phil, what do you got coming up? I know you got the New York Con in October, but what's you didn't watch Blue Beetle?
That's the biggest plan right now. I'm taking it quiet, man. I've been gone a lot between these different Fantast sales and just work in general. I'm going to take it easy this next month or two. I'm going to be quiet. I've got some new content coming to YouTube that I'm working on some new reels. I've hit. I'm almost at 25K now on Instagram.
All right.
Yeah.
Congrats, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I had like a 12 million view reel just pop off the other week.
Wow.
So it's been going a little bonkers. So I've got to do a giveaway there, and I've got to start to make some new fresh content again there. So I got to kind of refocus on Instagram a little bit more. But so I'll be online. You guys will be seeing me do lives and some new content coming on YouTube. Totally new stuff.
Cool.
So,
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
All right.
Fantastic.
Barney, what do you got for the people?
What do I have for the people?
Need a moment?
You didn't think about this ahead of time? Come on, Barney. Don't do this.
I have things for the people. I have to make sure we say thank you to everybody that's been watching. All the chats that have been coming in.
Yeah.
You do a
To
phenomenal
Kevin,
job.
Nick, Tanya. Tanya's always in there.
Tanya.
Dre. That's all I got.
Oh, okay.
Into the West. Quan.
Mark was in
Nikita.
there.
Nikita was in there earlier.
Oh, sweet.
Joe Mar was in there earlier.
Nordic
I saw.
Doll.
So I say thank you to those people. So
Thank you for looking in.
We
the
appreciate you
next
guys
thing
hanging
we
out.
have for Simpsons Comics, we have.
All right,
you're
yeah.
gonna like this one.
I'm ready.
Oh, you're ready for this one? Quan's even gonna like this one. And put a smile on his face.
Hey, baby.
We are doing the Worst Fest. Ask me what the Worst Fest is. Come on.
What's the worst
What's
fest,
the
bro?
worst fest?
A beer and bratwurst festival out in
And I
Boulder,
will be there.
out in Boulder City, Saturday,
What?
September 30th. They asked us. They asked
What?
Simpsons Comics to come out as an antique dealer,
You have Phil's attention.
and
Is he gonna be done? Like, you what?
and so Boulder City asked us.
I'm an overweight white guy. I mean, we love
Yeah,
that.
Boulder
Right
City.
here.
So I mean, you got my
Saints.
attention.
Yeah, we're gonna come out. It's at a park. It's the Bicentennial Park out of Boulder City. It's Saturday, September 30th. It's called the Worst Fest. This is the 22nd annual
Wow.
Worst
Okay.
Fest, if I remember correctly. But this is only the second year that they brought antique dealers in. So they want us to
I'll
come
be
out
there.
because we come out with the comic books and give free books to the kids that come by, and I'll be selling
Nice.
comic books just to have money to go buy some more beers and brats.
We'll be
right
there.
on.
I'm coming to that one for
Sounds
sure.
good.
Phil might come out for that one.
Knees.
I might have something to do now.
Get out
Hey,
here, dude.
plans change. Hey, just come on
Get
over.
out.
Anybody got a couch?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The way I set it up is we have our table with all the books, and then an ice chest full of beer, and
Oh my
underneath
gosh.
we're underneath these giant trees that are out there. But the fact that they're going to be serving beer, and supposedly you can get a wristband and go under a beer tent and just sit there and have fun. So
Oh wow.
it's gonna be it's gonna be bonkers, man. So
I'd love it. Dre, what do you got?
Nothing.
What
I
you
just-
got?
Thanks for being here at the table. Appreciate you,
Yes,
buddy,
exactly.
hanging
I
out.
was like, I'm thankful to be here. Pleasure to meet
The
you.
big hog, big hog.
Come on now.
Shane, hi. What do you got there?
Big hog, please. You know better
You
than
gonna be
that.
at the
Come
table
with
and
it.
not, you got to come with it if you're gonna be at the table.
For real.
I wasn't expecting.
Shane, what you got?
Hey, I want to say what's up to Sonny, Hot Dog Paul. We miss you, bro.
There we go.
Spoonie G, I miss you, man. No, I got nothing either.
Okay.
Hi, Eva, my wife.
Yeah, thank you. I was like, man.
Pick up the new Hives record, The Death of Randy Fitzsimmons.
Shout out to my wife. Marcus, what you got?
Yeah, well, sort of what Shane was trying to allude to. Yeah, shout out to Paul and Sonny who couldn't be here. You know, take care of yourself.
Shout out to Paul. Sonny.
Yeah, we'll see you guys. We'll see you guys next week.
Austin's in California.
Oh,
Austin was California.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
right.
Yeah, he really likes that state. That's
He's a big California fan.
That's
Beach
crazy.
life, baby.
Man, beach life. Oh, okay. But again, I said it before, and I'll say it again. Hey, thoughts and prayers to Jeff Smith, who is recovering from a heart attack. He had a couple weeks ago. For those who don't know, he wrote the Eisner Award-winning story Bone, which I think he was writing it for over a period of a bunch of years, and then they finally collected it into a big all-in-one compendium. So check that out. It's very cool. Compendium. Also, he did the one and done sort of 4-issue series called Shazam: Monster of Evil Society. Monster Society of Evil. There it is. And it was a 4-issue mini that kind of was like a standalone story that kind of is a great starting point for anyone who just wants to kind of maybe get familiar with Shazam. It's like a modern retelling of his origin and whatnot. Really good. They just DC just re-released it in hardcover. I have the trade. It's very good. A lot of fun. Very cute. It's it's good for all the members of the family. And yeah. I would so I would recommend that.
I do have something. I'm going to do
please.
Paul's socials. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Go for it. Do it.
You know, find us at in TikTok at Into the West. Of course, YouTube, which we are watching right now, at Into the West. We're also on X at Into_comics.
Yep.
And I believe that's it.
And Feet Finder.
There we go. Feet Finder.
Sonny Feet Finder.
Sonny's Feet Finder.
And yeah,
you nailed that.
You know, that's one thing I could do.
Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
What's the OnlyFans
is the greatest act.
That's a private link that we're gonna send. Via
Hold on,
DM.
everybody. One more thing before we go. As far as Ahsoka Mania.
Actress or astress? Where are we going with it?
I think you know, Phil. What a show! I love that show. It's my favorite show. Wow.
Phil, thank you for hanging out tonight.
Awesome.
Yeah, good to meet
We
you.
love you, buddy. We'll see you later.
Yes, thank you, Phil.
Have a great evening. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. We appreciate you guys. If you haven't done so already, consider subscribing to us. We appreciate it so much.
General Sandula.
Smash
General
that like
Sandula.
button. Smash that like button.
Smash that like button.
Thank you, Barney, for coming on.
Thank you, Barney.
Thank you.
Thank you, B. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night, guys. Love
We
you.
did it. We did it. We did it.
There it is.